Firstly, thank you, Vesa, for giving me opportunity to interview you for my YouTube channel and podcast.
Yeah, yeah, it's pleasure. Thank you for reaching me out. Hmm.
I thought to tell about you and the work that you are doing to my audience.
Sorry?
Uh, I thought to tell about you and the work that you are doing to my audience and your work experience to my audience.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's fun to connect with people all around the world and doing an interview like this. It's I don't know. It's just great to meet new people in this way also. And I see you have a very different kind of a weather there than what we have. We still have snow outside. It's cold, water's frozen, and you are there standing outside in your t-shirt. Yep.
So, before talking about you, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Vesa Nopanen, but like almost every Vesa in Finland, please do call me Vesku. That's a very common nickname we use and go, and that's also perhaps a bit easier in this global communications as well. And yes, I was born in Finland and almost, I don't know, almost 50 years ago. So I'm getting old and old and grumpy, I could say, or in that way. But hey, I have lived in Finland all my life. And as I already we talked, it's still winter outside. There's still snow. It's cold. Some crazy people go and ski. But as an IT person, yeah, I prefer just working on my computer and in the metaverse. But I'm a kind of got my education in the field of automation technology, but basically I've been working on ICT all my life, almost 30 years in the ICT business for now. And so it's been quite a ride. I've been in different roles throughout my history and ended up as a consultant. That's what happens when you go and jump around between different domains and areas of tech. You gather up general knowledge enough and being a kind of a generalist or kind of thinking about the technology and seeing the future. I think that's the kind of a very important or interesting part on my work. So I'm kind of very happy what kind of steps I have taken throughout my life. So I have ended up here and doing the work I'm doing now. Yeah,
So,
sorry, yes, I have a family, a few kids, and so on. So it's not just a loner life. And on the hobby side, I think I've been kind of picking up again some gaming with PlayStation again, hopefully with Xbox at some point of time. And I had a kind of in my younger years, I loved gaming, but then it kind of went to the side. But kind of getting older and grumpy, that's when you pick up the solo games and start playing again. So I guess that's kind of circle of life as well. But hey, it's fun, but it's all about work and life balance. It's just not about doing work all the time because it wouldn't be good for your mental health or anything else.
so you're from Finland.
Yes, I'm from Finland, and yeah, I was born here and I have lived here, so I haven't lived abroad at any point of time, at least not so far.
So you're working as a principal consultant. So what exactly your work is?
I'm working as a principal consultant for future and modern work, and also for the metaverse. So what I'm basically doing, I'm working as a trusted advisor in various things. I'm kind of a visionist, evangelist about what's going to happen, what's the change going to be, the hybrid world, hybrid work, how it's going to change, how we are going to be changing in the future, and of course how the metaverse is going to change this. So I'm kind of thinking ahead and consulting customers about the upcoming change, but the modern work is still there. For example, Microsoft Teams, that's a really big part of my daily work as well. So going through and think about working preferably with CXOs at customers they are thinking about the roadmap, thinking about how to best use the solutions that are available, how to best utilize Microsoft Cloud as overall to get their business processes online and kind of developing productivity and just concentrating on how to drive their business forward as well. So it's kind of a upper cloud feeling sometimes. You are not necessarily thinking about the current day or the current solutions, but then you will get sudden drops and get grounded when you have kind of everyday problems, because the reality is, as much as I like to think about the future, but most of the people are still, they won't be there for a while. So when you think about the everyday challenges, everyday routines, solutions need to be addressing those. But it is very important to think ahead on the companies on the CXO side, so they can plan where they are going and how they are going to progress and how they can prepare for all kinds of sudden changes. In past 2 years, we have seen so many changes we didn't think that would be even possible.
So you help companies in using the cloud, Microsoft Cloud services. At the same time, you will tell about what technology is going to be in future.
Yes, you could say that the Microsoft Cloud is basically contains all these parts as well, because as a Microsoft partner, we are relying their services and we trust their services. We trust the security part, of course, but you also have to be kind of realistic about things. But with we are telling them how they can best utilize the cloud and Microsoft Cloud especially, and how it will align with their business. And there are lots of or huge amount of components and features and solutions that you are already using, of course, and they can utilize that. But also, I will also talk about the future technology. And Metaverse is something like that's going to do big changes. The needs and challenges that come from the hybrid work, that's one thing. And of course, how the future is changing in the next 10 years, that's going to be huge. Satya Nadella, the CEO from Microsoft, stated that that basically we are going to be seeing more digital transformation during the next 10 years than we have seen in the past 40 years. And I have been in the ICT business for about 30 years. So it was very, very rudimentary in the beginning. We of course, there was digital transformation and digital processes, but not even close on this level we are right now. If you think about or try to imagine what was the life 30 years ago, what was the technology back then, what we are doing now is the sci-fi of that time. We would be living in a kind of science fiction fantasy there, thinking about all the resources and tools we have available. And when the pace is already accelerating, everything is going faster and faster forward. And people are going to have hard time catching up as well. Technology will make things easier, but it's going to provide also challenges. And when the pace is accelerating, we are going to be seeing huge changes during the next 10 years. And just thinking about that, where we will be there, if we just think about that in 30, 40 years ago, what we do now was just pure science fiction. And in 10 years, we just have to start imagining what the science fiction looks like now. And that's kind of mind-blowing, I have to say. It's something, it's not easy to, or I don't want to just believe it. I want to see how things are going and how they will reflect to the reality. But the thing is that just thinking about the awesome things that we are going to see, it's huge. And yeah, I'm a sci-fi fan, so that's one of the things that's why it resonates with me. I loved cyberpunk, I loved Star Trek, I loved everything about sci-fi and the sci-fi and future genre. So that's why it's really amazing to kind of be in this world at the moment, seeing, for example, the metaverse and the cyberspace, whatever it was 30 years ago, as a fantasy, basically pure fantasy. And we are starting to take steps there. We have persistent worlds where we can join this meetings in augmented reality, for example. It's still on the high-end side. It's not for everyone, but during the next 10 years, that's the big change, because we are seeing this becoming more routine, becoming more everyday. It will have business opportunities, and businesses need to be in the metaverse, because otherwise they won't exist in the future. I don't know how you feel about the companies in the web these days. If a company doesn't have a website or a Facebook page, does it exist? Yeah, that's the kind of the funny thing. Of course they exist, but people don't know about them. You only have a very close inner circle who's utilizing those services. It's a very local service. But in a kind of global sense or even regional sense, if the company doesn't have web pages, they don't tell anything about themselves in the social media, they are not in the internet, people don't know about them. They don't apply to work for them. They don't see them as interesting. And that's what's going to happen in the metaverse. Because at some point of time, we are going to be seeing the same thing. If the company is not in the metaverse, does it really kind of exist? If you can't contact the customer service through metaverse, you can't talk to their bots, or you can't talk to their AI there or some other part. That's going to be the case. And at that date, it's going to be very natural. Now it seems like a sci-fi, but it's going to be there faster than we think, because the world is accelerating in this change and things are happening so far. We wouldn't even think about the situation in Ukraine a few months ago. Some people had a vision of that, but for most of us, it was just kind of taking us off guard. Something big happens, and it can happen again, like things we don't know what's going to happen, and the companies need to kind of start thinking about how they can be more agile, how they can be more flexible, how they can answer all those needs. And that's about the acceleration of change as well. Was it about my role as a principal consultant? Not necessarily that much, but that's all these things are involved. So I'm kind of taken the role of being a metaverse lead in our company and talking about the metaverse to customers and kind of starting to tell them to see what's going to happen, why this is important. This is still on the early steps. But of course, as I said, there's still the modern work part, because, hey, we need to work as well. We have more normal projects. We have, for example, how do you utilize Microsoft Teams as a platform? How do you create bots? How do you create process automation? How do you create business processes that are part of this digital transformation? So you are making things easier for users. There's so many options available in the modern work. And even if you just look at the Microsoft Cloud only, there's huge number of things available, but not everyone in every company is going to use them all, because that would be overwhelming. They need to fine tune those ones they want to use, and they need to find the services and things they need that will have benefits for people and the organization, and combine their business processes to those and start making it easy for users as well. So what I really like about my work is I don't have a similar day ever. This is changing all the time. You could say my work is chaotic. Yes, it's kind of chaotic. I'm kind of chaotic as myself. I want to multitask too easily, and I'm very interested about to drop into new things and learn about new things and see how they will fit in this big picture or big puzzle, what's going to happen in the future.
So you are being the witness for the change that happened in the technology from last 30 years.
Yeah, I have seen what's happening because I've been working in the ICT for almost roughly 30 years. I think it was 26 years since I got my first stable work as a software developer in a company. So I was writing code at that time with C++ and working on a project building industrial system for a paper mill, how they are processing the orders, how they are kind of connecting to the manufacturing part and so on. And it was very, very different times back then. When you think how you are writing code, how you are generating those applications, and lots of things have required a huge amount of work back then. And it's like computer power was one thing. If you made something too complex, they didn't have power to run it. And so you had to also think about optimizing and thinking about the user interface, because we didn't have all those touch screens, at least not in every device. They were very expensive. So it's been very interesting to see all this, seeing how the internet kind of took over. Everybody is connected now. Back in 90s, you had to use the dial-up modem or ADSL. So it has been a very, very different world. When I got my first computer at home, when my parents bought that was a MSX Spectra Video, 86 on the 1986. So I was writing basic code, and those games that looked like very fun at that day, and when you look at something like that now, okay, this is where there has been lots of change recently. So it's fun to see how much has happened. Now we are using smartphones. You are recording this interview using your smartphone, and you are on the other side of the world. This is these video calls. They were something we saw in movies. Or did you drop out? Just when we talked about the technology.
Yeah, we are connected.
Okay, so you're back.
Your video is still loading.
Okay. So we still don't have 5G all over the world, the perfect connectivity. So there's some work to do on the infrastructure side. But I think that's a big thing. That's also very easy to forget. Living in Finland, we've had a very good connectivity on the internet for, I don't know, 20 years, more or less. So we've gotten better and better on mobile devices. We've been able to use them, and then when you go to some other countries, but yeah, it's just also important to remind. It's important reminder and important to remember that not everyone is going to have that perfect connectivity all the time. And that's something that's going to happen in the metaverse side as well, because it's assuming that perfect connectivity, or more or less, everybody is online all the time in a virtual world. So how that's going to be managed, that's one of the big things. Perhaps we get better networks all around the world, but then we have to remember that there are huge amount of people who don't have kind of latest modern technology available, and how they are going to be there, how they are going to be part of that, all the new metaverse side. So there are lots of questions we can't answer yet, but it's also something when we talk to businesses, because it's the same thing. Businesses are global. People are working in a global hybrid environment. So we have to think about the ways and practices, also how we are getting the best out of all these situations.
So what is Metaverse, and how it is contributing and helping the world to solve problems?
Okay, now that's an interesting question. What is Metaverse? And you ask from 10 people and you will probably get 10 different answers. But I think the Metaverse is a digital extension to our real world, our physical world. It's basically a digital virtual world. And you are connecting the physical real world to kind of to that world with some signals. So you are overlapping these two worlds together. So whatever's happening in the physical world will be kind of it will have at least some kind of digital twin in the metaverse. It may be just about some metrics you are bringing to the real world, or it may be just something you are doing actually in the physical world that's going to be reflected to the virtual side. And also it's connecting people from the virtual world to the physical one. So you are overlapping these spaces together and moving the relevant information back and forth. You could say that in the real world, we are going to be seeing more and more that we have AI everywhere. We have our phones, we have our assistants. So we have more technology all around us all the time. And we are going to be using that technology to help us in the real world. It may be, if you think about people with disabilities, I think some of the great things are that you have devices that can create you kind of an audio image around you. Microsoft has been experimenting with that. That's why I'm going to put that. So they are using sensors to read your surroundings and then bringing you the information. Perhaps it needs to be on the digital side, perhaps it's augmented reality, or perhaps it's just collecting the visual information and telling you more about the environment. So you can use the AI and kind of a continuous computing to help you in the real world. And one of the business examples, I think the most common one is going to be the hybrid meetings. So you have people in the meeting rooms in different locations, and then you have people in the virtual meeting rooms who are working from home, who are coming from other offices, from some other places. So they are bringing that, enabling them to work together in the metaverse. So bringing that physical meeting room information, for example, the whiteboard. People are drawing to the whiteboard in the physical meeting room, really getting that information in a digital format to the digital attendees. They can work on the same whiteboard and taking that back. That's, by the way, happening already today if you have the right devices. So you can do that. You have digital whiteboards you can use. And that's, in a sense, it's kind of a very simple way to say, okay, that's a metaverse tool, because you are connecting the physical world to the virtual one. But when you think about the businesses, more about why it is a big opportunity, well, one of the things is that it's going to make things easier for us. We don't always want to show our video image. For example, we have bad hair day, whatever, or perhaps we have some disabilities, and we want to highlight a certain kind of image of ourselves. Perhaps we want to express ourselves in a certain manner. My avatar could be wearing a suit. For example, or in the other meeting it would be a T-shirt. But the thing is that it kind of works as a shield, so you can get more people involved. And when it's kind of one barrier, it's not a barrier, but kind of a shield there that's protecting you from some parts. You could be joining the call. Perhaps you are only talking there. They don't really see what do you have on the face or something else, because your avatar is kind of representing you in the digital world. And I think that the diversity and inclusion part is important, and because it's enabling us to be more productive when we are enabling everyone to be included. We are getting more ideas, more new ideas. And when you are in the metaverse, for example, in the innovation or in workshop, you are coming up with something new. These avatars can be in the same virtual room, while the people are in different countries. We might be doing this in a metaverse. Instead of having these video images, our avatars would be representing us. so-called digital twins. And you could be working on the whiteboard together. We could be moving objects. We could be doing something like, so we are crossing that distance between physical spaces when we are doing that in one virtual world. We have seen this in games. We have seen how awesome they are, how immersive they can be. And that's one of the key things. I think that the immersiveness is going to make us kind of forget that we are far away from each other and we are just working together towards the common goal. That sounds like Microsoft Teams, yes. But then there are other metaverses, of course, like people like to think about, I forgot the game name, it's going to come back, but it's an online game. And when lots of people are meeting together and they are playing, but they are also doing concerts in there. Companies are doing advertisement in there. They can have a presence in that game metaverse. In that sense, it's not the full metaverse if you depending on the definition, but the idea is going to be the same. So when these companies are going to be in those public metaverses, they will have perhaps they will create a kind of a virtual office there. They will create a virtual office for customers. So you can go there, you can learn about the company, you can learn about the products, you can learn about the services, you may be ordering something there, or you are asking questions from the AI in there. It might be a bot or avatar, it doesn't matter. Or so just like you are now asking questions from a Facebook bot or Facebook customer service, they are going to be there and providing services. Of course, the NFTs and all that metaverse stuff is going to be there because people want to show off and own something in a virtual world as well. That's a kind of huge topic. What I'm doing in my work is, of course, I'm concentrating on the business and enterprise side. How the organizations are going to be using the metaverse, how it's going to help organizations to work better together, how they are collaborating with their partners, how they are collaborating with their customers, how they are bringing business processes there. So, for example, some of the good examples are process automations. And it's kind of fun because I started my career in process automation, but in paper mills and all that factory side. And now the circle has completed again. And I'm thinking about that these digital twins are making perfect sense and they are going to be heavily used in the process automation because you can visualize your whole factory to the metaverse and you can run simulations compared to the history and kind of see how the process flows, where are the bottlenecks. You are getting all that sensory information. The process automation has been doing that for, I don't know, 70 years. They started doing that on the 1960s, if not earlier, whenever computers were at least somehow utilizable, because they needed the information. During 80s and 90s, they ran simulations already. So they are in a very good position to start using the metaverse. And it starts with digital twins. And they are basically replicating the physical world and all the variables to the digital counterpart. So you can, for example, do the simulations, kind of do scenarios. Okay, if we do these changes, how it's going to change our business. And you will get quite good or relevant estimates what's going to happen. So you can do lots of those things in the metaverse before applying them to the physical world. And then something else that's very important scene that's going to happen is the onboarding and training. Going to the location, having the in-person training is expensive and it takes time, it takes arrangements. If you can do those trainings in the metaverse and people can kind of have the immersive environment, so they are seeing what's around them, they are learning how to drive a fork truck, for example. They are learning how to use devices, how to maintain those computers, how to tune paper mill factory parts, something else. So that's a very cost efficient way to start learning and bring that part there as well. I could talk hours about the metaverse. I know that's a very passionate topic of mine.
Do metaverse is going to replace the physical presence of a human being?
No. That's a very short answer, because it's going to add or extend things. We are physical beings. Humans have been tuned to have physical contacts, and you can't replicate that fully. Of course, some individuals, well, they are playing game in the virtual world already a lot. Perhaps some people don't even want to see others. It's the Finnish population or something like that. But that's the thing, that we are needing both. We are needing the metaverse and hype for the flexibility. We are needing that to save costs. We are going to be needing that to drive businesses forward. But we are still needing the face-to-face meetings. We are needing that innovation as well. It's going to reduce our need to travel. It's going to reduce our need to kind of do things synchronously all the time and kind of pace our days differently. When you kind of get grips how you can start to use that technology to your advantage.
Cloud services already reduce the mental and the physical effort of human beings, and also save a lot of money, and saved a lot of physical. No need to have physical infrastructure for the companies, and making things easier and faster. So, can I say metaverse is going to replace even the cloud services?
It's going to replace what? Sorry.
Cloud services.
No. Metaverse is basically built on cloud. Cloud services are what are going to drive the metaverse. I don't think our 2D internet is going to be replaced either. You can think about it as an extension there. Some sites, maybe the Web3, whatever, probably are going to have more features like that, and it's going to kind of build on extensions and make it more multidimensional in lots of sense, not just in 3D, but on you will have different layers and ways how you connect and how you work. For some people, reading the text is more efficient. For some people, listening to the audiobook is better. For some people, checking the video is better. But we are very visual persons, so most of us. So when we are visualizing the data, it's going to be more easier for some people. Some people like to read the raw data or raw reports. So we are very diverse beings. And that's the one thing that in this pandemic era, we have been kind of perhaps pushed. Not everybody was able to kind of attune to this one, because things changed very fast, and they had to rely on this, for example, on remote work only. So that's kind of one way to do things, and you don't have the choice. So when you have metaverse, you have Web3, you have kind of different choice. Okay, this approach works for me better. That's how we're going to be using that. And I think what I really love about Microsoft Teams and Mesh for Teams is that you will be able to join these metaverse meetings, but you don't need the hardware. Earlier in this call, I talked about that not everyone is going to have the chance to get that technology. So if you have a device where you can join these 2D calls, you can use that to join a metaverse meeting. You don't need the headset. You don't need to buy that one. Or if you have a headset, you have an immersive experience. But I think most of the people are going to be joining through the 2D world, because even if they had the money to buy the headset, they don't necessarily want to use it, because who wants to use, well, if it would be classes like this, it would be easy, but it's not that it's a big headset, at least during these days.
So, which industries and what are the industries that are going to get benefit because of metaverse in the society?
Benefits from metaverse and society. What was the first part?
What are the industries? What are the industries that are going to get benefit because of this technology called metaverse in the society, in the world?
In the world, I think the biggest kind of I might have missed a bit of your question, but it doesn't matter. I think the biggest.
I'll repeat the question.
Yeah, okay.
So you understand the business thing
Yeah.
in the world. So which industry? What are the industries that are going to get benefit because of this metaverse?
Okay. There's going to be a big number of industries. We already know that, for example, car manufacturing industry is using that. They already have digital twins of the cars in phones. I have a colleague who's telling that, okay, his Audi has a kind of digital twin information in his phone, so he can connect to that information. We know Tesla is giving a lot of control through their mobile app, for example. So they are using a lot of that technology. Process automation, like factories, are going to be using big things, are using that. But then there are some like Nike and Adidas, where also creating a brand in the metaverse side. So they are going to create those collectibles, or you can buy their virtual clothing, virtual boot, shoes, something else, so your metaverse avatar can wear. So it's going to be hitting a lot of industries. Some other parts is going to be the healthcare, because how we are meeting people, how the remote clinics are going to be working, how the remote assistant is going to be. Repairman can use the one expert that can oversee the whole country, for example. The expert doesn't have to travel, but in the metaverse, that person is close there. That's already available with Microsoft HoloLens, for example. So there are lots of industries that are going to be used. I think the travel industry or tourism is going to be also the one. I had an interesting webinar about the metaverse, and one of the questions was about the tourism. And at that time, I had a bit different kind of answer, but when I thought about it more, it's going to be interesting when we are going to start seeing virtual tourism. And of course, perhaps how it's going to change our ways, how we decide what we buy. For example, buying a new car, you might want to get to know the car in the metaverse first. Or when you are booking up a hotel reservation, you may want to see the hotel and the site in the metaverse first. So instead of having just some pictures here and there, you may go there virtually and experience it yourself and think, okay, this is something I can use. Perhaps you have disabilities you need to take account into, so you want to check out, okay, is this hotel suitable for me? Or some resort. So there are, I think it's going to span a huge number of these industries. Financial industry will be able to create those meetings in the metaverse. They are probably going to have these virtual offices. Of course, there are questions that's stopping us doing it today, more or less. One of those questions is who is that person? How do you verify the identity? How do you verify the avatar identity? And so there's going to be some pieces of technology that will go along with that, but it will be something that's going to hit lots of industries. But as a recap from your question, manufacturing industry is going to be one of those, maintenance side, healthcare, those are really big ones.
So what is world without metaverse and what is world with metaverse?
World without metaverse. Do we have a world without metaverse anymore? If you think about the metaverse as only as an immersive space, then, well, you don't have that much yet. But I think the metaverse is about connecting the physical world to the digital one. All the signals. We all have mobile phones, basically everyone. Or most of the people in the world have some kind of a communication device with them all the time. So we are always connected to the virtual world in one way or the other. And I think that's a very crude way to say about it's a metaverse, but I think every signal we are getting together, that's the word with the metaverse. So you could say it's a connected world.
So you and me having a coffee in real and physical as in person in a place, or having a conversation, or exchanging some physical things, being in a physical place. So the energy that is passing between you and me is completely different from the energy that comes if me interacting with you in the form of a metaverse. So how do you say this energy uh, can this also can be created by we as a technologist, and going to make the world feel the same that without physical presence?
I think I'm going to give you a consultant answer. It depends. It's a kind of joke also, but it really depends on the thing. When you have the synergy in the real world, I don't think any virtual thing can go over that. But you can also have kind of bad vibe, and depending on how we would feel there, and in some cases, doing the virtual meeting, it can give you almost that much. But of course, when we would be doing something like drinking coffee together and talking there, something like that, it's really quite impossible, or at least extremely hard to replace in the virtual world. So the face-to-face meeting will always have more value in that sense. But the thing is that how close the metaverse is going to be, and replicating those feelings. Because I've had great meetings with people. We have a conversation now, but I have so many great meetings, online meetings with people, and they can also give very, very good vibes, because you are really feeling connected to those people. So and just thinking about that, we have people coming together. We can come together weekly from different areas of the world, but in order to meet weekly together from different continents of the world, it's very impossible, or you are traveling a lot, and it's going to be, of course, exhausting. So I think it's kind of a thing that you have to choose. When do you want to meet face to face, and when the virtual meetings are better? But and I think that's the goal, because this is not something you choose one and drop the other. This is something like when you combine things and start to think, okay, what's the best practice here, and why it is needed. I have a presentation I'm going to give to some customers in a couple of weeks, and that's one of the rare face-to-face presentations. So I'm going to be on site talking to the room of people. I had that experience late last year in Germany, in Düsseldorf, at the conference. So I was talking to the room of people, and that's very different than doing it online, because you have different way to see things and different cues and stuff. But I think from that trip, the best was, of course, connecting with people in real life. You are able to you couldn't do much handshakes because of COVID, but you were able to kind of meet people and interact with them in a physical world. And it's really great, because after 2 years you're just doing online meetings, then it's really refreshing. And the thing is perhaps that we need to have a bit of change all the time. We don't want to just do online meetings. We don't want to just do physical meetings, most likely. We don't want to do just immersive metaverse meetings. We are going to be doing different kinds of meetings, so we are not getting that much meeting fatigue either. So you have to think about the practices, which one works the best for which occasion.
Are we using Metaverse in space technology?
In space technology, if you think about the connecting the physical world with the virtual one, then in a sense, yeah, they have, even in the lunar trips they have, or moon flights, they had lots of sensory information coming from people and coming from the spacecraft and everything, but you couldn't say that as a metaverse. But in space, probably, yeah, well, why not? It would make sense. For example, if you send a probe to other planet, why wouldn't you? There's a lot of sensory information, so you get that information back to Earth, and you should have that metaverse around that probe or rover or something else, and you could look around. You could be the rover. You could be in the digital twin of the rover, see things through the eyes. Instead of looking those 2D pictures, you might want to see some new perspectives. Or perhaps you will just want to have a kind of a general overview. And as mentioned, that visual, because we are visual people, you might want to just bring that information there. So of course, I think we are going to be seeing that. And if you think about all these autonomous vehicles, they are in the metaverse. They are AIs in the metaverse, or remote controlled devices.
So you also work as a brand ambassador at rebrandly.
Yeah, I'm a brand ambassador for rebrandly in there. That's a kind of a so-called, in a way, very champion program they have. They wanted to find some people in the social who are using the service and kind of highlight that. That has been on rather low key on my part, but I also use that to use as a kind of shorter URL service. I like that service, and that's why I wanted to kind of jump into the opportunity when they offered me. I'm also an F-Point champion. It's not listed in there, so it's a kind of similar partner program. With Microsoft, I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable person. So, sorry, Most Valuable Professional. So in the Microsoft MVP program. And that means that I have shown my technical expertise in the social, and I've been impacting lots of people with my blogs and presentations and in the communities. For example, I'm one of the organizers in the Teams Nation, and we have the Teams Nation Community Conference coming up in 1.5 weeks, so 23rd of this month. You should be joining and sharing information about the Teams Nation, because 140 sessions about Microsoft Teams, Power Platform, SharePoint, basically Microsoft Cloud Technologies, including Metaverse, is going to be there, 170 speakers. So it's a kind of huge 12-hour conference, and we kick off from in early morning in Europe. So APAC, India, China, or Australia, or all those parts in the Asia can kind of catch up during the middle or of the day or in the afternoon and join those sessions there. Then they go to sleep and join the after party afterwards. But so and we last for 12 hours, so people in the Americas can join in basically in our afternoon sessions. East Coast can start joining in our, I think it was 3 p.m. or something like that in the Europe time, 2 p.m. So they can start catching up when they wake up. So there's content basically for everyone, and that's a really fun and great conference to be organizing about. There's a group of us, Teams passionate people who are organizing that one. It's free, it's online, it's all happening on Microsoft Teams, of course. And so I think that's one of the part of the community, and I think the MVP community that has had the biggest impact for me. Being a Microsoft MVP, that I have gotten so many new friends out of there. So that's really great. So sad to say that rebrandly and Outbound Championship, they are kind of on low burner compared to the MVP side. But you can actually catch up my ideas or blogs. I write about Teams and Metaverse in my metaverseday.com. So if you just want to go ahead and read about my ideas, then please do so.
And also you worked as a principal consultant at InnoFactor for 6 years in 2013.
Yeah, I worked at the InnoFactor before transferring to Sulava into about 2.5 years ago. The 6 years was interesting time because that's when the Microsoft Cloud really kind of opened up. The Office 365 came online, I don't know, 2010, but it existed before that, 2011. So during that time, we saw the impact on the social networks and enterprise social networks like Jammer, and moving from on-premise servers to the cloud servers. So you're starting to use the Microsoft Cloud in the enterprise customers. And there are lots of kind of work there. So in there, I concentrated more on the technology side and more on the documents, intranet collaboration in the organization. And when Microsoft Teams came out, and that's when I started to work with Teams and thinking about more like the ways we are working in the future, and started to switch my mind towards the future part. And of course, utilizing Teams, how we are working together better than before. So I think Teams was really a big game changer there. Lots of people say it's just a kind of copy of Slack or something. But I think because Microsoft Teams is connecting us to work together towards the common goal. It's the hub for work. It contains the documents, conversations, business processes, meetings, callings, everything in there. So it's basically our one-stop shop for work, and that's where we get started. Instead of jumping between different tools and different systems, breaking your concentration, and that's kind of using Teams, you will be able to do basically almost everything on the digital work side through that one tool.
Great. And also you worked as principal consultant at AdBusiness for 10 months in 2012.
Yeah, the AdBusiness, that part was, I joined the AdBusiness, and then InnoFactor and AdBusiness merged. So it's the same company. So basically I had the same role in there.
Great. And you also worked as at Javardel OE.
Yeah, it was during those parts when, that was also steps in the SharePoint side. It was steps in the intranet and document management side as well. That was more pre-cloud era. It wasn't that much about the cloud. It was still about the more like local servers and that kind of era. But I think if you go through my work from that, it's when I kind of reversed this a bit, because when I started as a software developer in 1996, so I was working with C++ code and on the paper mills and in that domain. Then I moved to work with the banking and financial industry. I was building one of the Finland's first online banking, for example. And so I was still working as a developer, but I was already catching up more on the database side. And then my career switched more towards the databases. So I was managing and designing the databases and kind of bringing the information together and kind of collecting that. I was working as a consultant as well. I think I did some code, but not that much. It was usually about how you are building the business processes, and I was concentrating on the data. And after that, it was quite kind of a part on the business intelligence side that was coming up. And it was still on the very early days and thinking about how do you manage larger amounts of data before I switched again to the next company, basically working on the data side and managing the databases. So the data has taken, or databases almost took me almost 10 years of my career when I was working there and kind of managing the data structures and building the processes to the database side and everything around there. So it was a very different time era and back then. But after that one, I kind of switched totally to the consulting role. So I didn't write database scripts anymore or manage databases. So I kind of started to broaden my experience. But every company which I did, it actually has given me new skills, new perspectives, and kind of ways how you can look at the world. So I think I admire some people who are sticking to the same company. They are also accumulating things. But for me, I noticed that, okay, for me, it's very good when I switch positions now and then and learn new things and kind of being able to grow myself. In an ideal company, you can grow with the company as well. And I hope, of course, that Sulava is one of those. So I can kind of expand my role. For example, I was very heavily focusing on teams earlier here at Sulava, but now my focus is switching is more on the Metaverse side. So being able to grow and kind of change what's your kind of passion about and do the work around your passion. That's the most kind of a thing that gives you the most.
And you also worked as a data architect at UMO.
Yeah. Let's not go backwards that list anymore. I was explaining it from the history towards this day. So yeah, the data architect and data administrator, all the database admins and everything like that's the kind of things I did during 2000.
So I can understand most of your work experience is filled with consulting.
That's well, in a sense, you end up as a consulting anyway. When you work for the vendor, you might, if you are in a product development, then that's different, or you are working in-house people. But when you are working for a consulting company, then you are consulting customers at some point of time. And my role has been, I've been a senior for a very long time, so I have been meeting customers and talking with them about the requirements and the products and how they would be using those. So that has been always my role. And I have been working with Microsoft technology since around 2000. I had some other technologies before that. I was working with Oracle. I was working with IBM. So I've had my share with the others as well. But I think it was of these companies I chose to work with, where I was employed. They were usually Microsoft technology focusing companies, and that has been kind of my interest driver, because I've seen how much they can help the organizations. If I wouldn't believe that, I would be working for some other technology, but the way I see it helps organization, how it can help people, and that's one of the big key drivers. And of course, nowadays my experience is basically built across that stack.
So it proves that you understand the software side, how to code, how to create an application, how to make that to be very good using for users to reach maximum number of people. I can understand you can create software like that, and also you understand the physical infrastructure of IT. So the physical things of the IT, and also you worked as a communicator and being the mediator between customers and company, and making them understand the services and how to connect the services that company is providing, and how to make company get benefit and also users get benefit. So I can understand you are into all the three communication sides.
Mhm.
You communicate with computer and you communicate with human beings.
Yeah, people and technology, and try to tell interpret the signals between in that sense.
So this huge experience of yours, you saw, diverse people, and you saw diverse technologies. You saw different ways of making application work. You saw errors that happens in computer and errors that happens in business side. So how your this industry knowledge uh, you are going to use for metaverse?
Uh, I'm going to use all my experience and imagination to the metaverse, because I think, of course, I learn about new things. I want to meet new people. I watch their videos. Basically, it's a continuous learning environment, and especially when you are a consultant, you need to see the new perspectives. You need to kind of speak with people. You need to have a kind of be on the vibe what's happening, but also being a bit skeptical about some things and not just kind of saying everything is great. But and that's happening on the background as well. But I think using all that to the metaverse, that's one thing. But imagination is really important, because to the metaverse and what's happening, our only limit is our imagination, because there won't be limits what we can do. Of course, there are technological limits, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you are rethinking businesses, how you are rethinking the way we collaborate, how we are rethinking the possibilities. Our imagination can root us too much to the ground. For example, I think one of the good examples is this, that if we have a meeting or kind of a team meeting, why it wouldn't happen on Moon? Because in the metaverse, we could be in the Moon, we could be in Mars, we could be in Saturn. We don't have limits there. If that's what inspires us or seeds our innovation. Or we want to do that in the top of the mountain, or in the underwater. It's just a thing that we have to break away from the traditional thinking there. But as I said a few times, it's not for everyone. For some people, or most of the people, they want to see the meeting room, because that's where they are more comfortable. So you need to have options. You need to have that diversity available for different needs.
Like you said, there are more companies are going to use like shoe company Nike and other companies which are going to get into metaverse. So if you are just an human being and you are not connected with the technology, you have no connectivity with the technology. You are just outsider. You don't know what is happening in the device, any device. So what you want from metaverse? How it will be useful for you?
If you don't have the connectivity, then it's a kind of issue.
I mean, without you gave answers now as a technologist, as a person who is into technology. I want you to answer this as a non-technical person who knows nothing about the technology. How for your physical body and for your business or for your work that you are doing in regularly, you don't know what is happening in the devices, but you want to use metaverse. So what is the thing that helps you in metaverse in your work?
Well, in my work, thinking about, I think all this is in a sense metaverse. I'm connected all the time, and I don't have 3D glasses, but or headset, but I'm still connected to everyone I work with. And I think that's the kind of the big thing, to being the connectivity. I think that's the really a big thing. And if you're just using stuff, I think ideally for people, it would be that they just use things. They don't think about necessarily the metaverse. They don't necessarily think about the internet too much. They just know that it works. It's helping us or helping them daily to do their work better. They might be dictating that blog post, or they are doing podcasts, they are doing videocasts, they are doing metaverse cast in the future. So it's going to be a very kind of hopefully it's more people centric, people first, like making it easier. The change of pace is going to make that tough for people, but I really hope it's going to make things easier as well when we are seeing that. And but of course, if you are not connected, you don't have the technology, and then the metaverse can leave you an outsider, and that's something people are afraid, because and it's not fitting to that diversity and inclusion part either, because we can't include those who are not there. So what about if they have only the access sometimes? Then things are different. We are working in different time zones. We are already working asynchronously. So we are working in different times. So we might be getting their input. And that's the thing, is that it's when the metaverse, it's persistent world. It's there. We are putting our impact there. We are doing things there. I go to lunch. You joined the metaverse. You are putting your stuff in there. I come back from the lunch and I saw what you did. So we are still kind of connected, even when we are not doing that synchronously. So and bringing that, and I hope that's going to be the kind of key to include more or less everyone. And not everyone has an internet access either today, and that's a kind of the issue. Of course, they are left out of lots of things, and it's not ideal. Of course, we really need to include everyone, and there has been very great efforts how you are bringing that connectivity there. But there's going to be different levels, different ways on this, and that's a good reminder, and it's a good thing to keep in the mind that we should consider also those areas, if business is working in those regions where people don't have that much connectivity, how do they adjust their offering there? How they are present there to make it work?
So, what is the future of metaverse?
Future of metaverse, that's a kind of question when we are just taking the first steps. You need to look at the sci-fi for that. What I really wish that we will have holograms, we will have something like that, but we don't have that technology yet. Are we going to have the Star Wars stuff in the future? We don't really Star Trek stuff. We don't. I can hope, but I think the future of metaverse is about that. We are the more what we are seeing now is that we are accelerating the enterprises and businesses are going towards the metaverse. They are going to be populating the metaverse. It's going to be a kind of a place that's a kind of virtual place that we are going to be using for our businesses, for our work, for our life, to go and better. And I think that's going to be the thing we are seeing. The future of metaverse is that it's going to be used, and it's going to be huge.
So, at last, do you want to say anything to the experts or to the IT people or to the software experts, developers, or any who are into IT from anywhere on this planet? Do you have anything to say that will help them in making things possible?
Be curious, always learning, be open-minded, and read about other people's perspectives. Don't be kind of narrow-minded there, but kind of embrace the possibility that you don't know everything. It happens even with with some people, and so you just have to be kind of accepting that, okay, you want to learn, you want to do better, and you basically want to stay curious and experiment, because that's the thing that's driving you forward. Yeah, so you are always curious about what's next.
So as a consultant, as a person who is into IT for more than 30 years, and as a person who saw the change that happened, the gradual change, and how this technology impacted the world, how it made things easier, you are the witness. So what do you say as an observer, as a huge experienced person? What do you say about my work? Have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
Your videos, yeah, I watched a couple before doing this interview, so I knew what I was facing, so to say, and but yeah, it's things that have happened. It's really that has been awesome in the world, and of course it's been great to connect with you, and to have this possibility for the interview. Thank you for reaching out to me, but I think we are kind of running out of time. And so my world is run through schedules, sorry, and through calendar. So, but it was very, very fun and great talking to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yeah, you can put it. And let me know.
Yeah, I will let you know. Can I also put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Vesa. Keep going, keep doing what you love.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Because that's important. Let's follow our passion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.